Hi everyone, this is Amy from the Helms Academy, and today we're doing our Math Roundtable recap from January 7th, 2021. So whether you missed us in person or just want to catch back up on some things that we learned, come along. So we'll start, as always, by thinking about what our steps are to solving a word problem. So first of all, we need to identify the important information, and if you can't highlight or underline it, that's a great skill. We need to determine which operations are needed, and then we need to write out the problem using the numbers and operations. And once we've done that, we can solve. So let's take a look at word problem 1. All of our word problems today come from the HiSET 2017 free practice test, FPT 7. So our first one says, Aisha has $100 saved from her job. She wants to buy as many charms for her bracelet at $4 each and earrings at $5 per set as she can without spending all of her money. The inequality represents her spending, where X is the number of charms and Y is the number of sets of earrings. So we see the equation here, 4X, so $4 per charm, and plus 5Y, so $5 per pair of earrings, has to be less than 100 because she only has $100 to spend and she doesn't want to spend all of it. Now, here it says which ordered pair represents a combination of charms and earrings Aisha can buy. So when you see ordered pair, it says XY next to it. So that means that when you see these ordered pairs in A, B, C, D, and E, the first number is going to be representative of the X variable, and the second number is going to be representative of the Y variable. So you can see that here. All of these are X's and all of these are Y's. So when we look at our original equation there, inequality rather, it's not an equation because the two sides are not equal. The inequality means the two sides are different from each other. So 100 is greater than the answer 4x plus 5y, and 4x plus 5y is going to be less than 100. So with this inequality, all we have to do now is figure out where our x and y go. Well, they're already listed there for us. So that means that the first number in each pair is going to go where the x goes, and the second number in each pair is going to go where the y goes. And to figure out which combination is going to work, we're going to have to try them all. So here's what it might look like. Instead of 4x plus 5y, we're going to replace the x and y with 16 and 8. So we do 4 times 16 plus 5 times 8. And you can see I've done that with all of the ordered pairs on here. So let's see what we get with each of these. Well, we have 104 for the first one, 100 for the second one, 101 for the third one, 99 for the fourth one, and 100 for the fifth one. So if we plug this in and look at them as the answer is less than 100, which is the only one that will work here? That's right, it's letter D, 99 is less than 100. So when they ask which ordered pair will work in this particular inequality, we're looking for D, 6, 15. For word problem 2, it says, which of the following graphs represents the relationship between x and y if y always increases as x increases? So if we look at graphs, we know that there's always a y-axis and an x-axis. The y goes vertically, the x goes horizontally. So if you think about it, the y, every time it gets higher, is getting bigger. And for the x, every time it gets closer to that right side, it's getting bigger. So think about just the same way you would read a book, right? You read from left to right. When you're looking at a graph, we know that it's going to grow from left to right. So we don't have numbers on any of these graphs shown, but we do have lines that show us something. And when I think about X and Y increasing, that could look a lot of different ways. But we know that no matter what, we're going to see this upward trend. It could be sharp like this, it could be right down the middle like this, it could be low and slow like this. But we'll see some sort of demonstration like this or some combination like this to know that X and Y are increasing together. So if we look at these options, which ones show that type of increase? Well, the first one definitely, right? We see it moving up and out and it's showing lots of growth. The second one is going down, so we know that's not it. Now the third one's a little tricky because we see that line at the bottom and then that nice sharp line at the end. But the line at the bottom, do you notice that that y value doesn't change, just stays straight across? And so that means the x is still getting bigger each time we move further down that x line, but the y is not increasing at the beginning there. So that can't count, but what can count is the fourth one. See how there's a slow slope at the beginning and then a sharp slope at the end? Both of those still mean that the x and y are increasing, even if they're increasing at different rates. So ultimately, we're looking for 1 and 4 only. Another way to think about this problem would be to look at how we already know number 2 is very quickly downward. And so we could say, well, we don't want to pick any of the ones that have number 2 in them. So that would eliminate E. Same thing if you could eliminate 3, that would really get it down to just a couple of options because we would want to cut out, actually, B, C, D, and E all have 3. So it would really leave you just with option A. So if you want to use the process of elimination, that's also a good option. Problem 3 says the graphs below show the total value in US dollars of the imports and exports of country W with its only 3 trade partners, countries X, Y, and Z in a recent year. Now you'll notice that there is a graph on the screen and it tells us that it shows us both the imports and exports, but I've only included the graph here of the imports for the sake of space. So if we look at this graph of imports, we see dollars and millions. The value of the imports, we know at the top, so make sure you're looking at those titles to make sure you're looking at the right graph. And then our country is down here. So it asks us this, what percent of country W's total imports was from country X? Well, we want to figure out the total imports first because we can't figure out the percent of the total imports if we don't know what the total amount is. So how do I get the total imports? Well, I look at how many does X have? Well, I see 40. How many does Y have? 80. And how many does Z have? 40. So if I put those together, I get 160. So I need to look at what country X is of that total amount of 160. So if I look at country X again, I see that it is 40. And so I'm going to say, what's 40 out of the total of all the imports, which is 160? And I can divide those out. And when I get the answer 0.25, I need to convert that into percentage, which is 25%. So that leaves me with letter B. For word problem 4, it says it takes 1 bag of chocolate chips to make 72 cookies. How many bags does it take to make 18 dozen cookies? Well, let's start by talking about the word dozen. 1 dozen is 12 cookies. So when it says 18 dozen cookies, don't be fooled into just thinking it's 18 cookies. 18 dozen would mean 18 times 12, which is 216 cookies. Now, I see that there are 72 cookies that are made with 1 bag of chocolate chips. And I need to make 18 dozen, which I know is actually 216 cookies. So how would I figure out how many bags of chocolate chips that is? Well, I would take my total, the 216 cookies that I need to make, and I divide that by the 72 cookies. Why? Because I know for every 72 cookies that are in those 216, that's 1 bag. So when I divide it out, it'll tell me how many total bags. So here, if we divide 216 by 72, we get 3, and we know the answer then is B, 3 bags. For word problem 5, it says an artist has all of her paintings framed with a 3-inch wide border. She has a painting to be framed that is 1 foot by 1.5 feet. Which of the following measurements represents the perimeter of the painting with the border? So here we have a picture of our painting and we can see that all of our answers here are written in feet. But one thing I noticed right away is that our measurements here have inches and feet combined. So let's start with that. How do we put those together? Well, we know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. And so I'm going to think about ways that I can make these correspond. Here on the bottom, I see I have 3 inches and 3 inches. So I put those together, 6 inches. And I have 1.5 feet. Now 6 inches, 6 is half of 12. So that means that's half a foot. So I could also think about this as 0.5 feet plus 1.5 feet. And ultimately, when I put those together, I get 2 feet. Same thing over here. I have the 3 and the 3, which I put together is 6 inches. And then I added in 1 foot. And when I put all that together, 6 inches again is a half of a foot. So I put it as 1.5 feet. Now, to get the perimeter of something, we need to know the length of all sides. But because this is a rectangle, we know that the top and bottom will be the same length, and so will both the right and the left side. So I can add those together, 1.5 times 2 plus 2 times 2, or I could do 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 2 plus 2. Either way, we get the same answer, which is 7 feet. Thank you so much for solving these problems with me today, and don't forget to check out all of our other videos on our Helms Academy YouTube channel. If you like a video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You can also check out the Helms Academy on Instagram and Facebook and on our website at helmsacademy.org.